All right, and welcome again, everybody, to our Friday at noon offering for Irreverent Warriors, our Grunt Foundation's program to prevent veteran suicide through humor and camaraderie. Joining me today is my co-host right out of San Antonio, Texas, Mr. Ed Eaton. Ed, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, Will.
So today we are going to be kicking off with what we hope to be our normal groove for this Friday offering, where we fill in all the troops in IW land and all the things that's going on in the larger ecosystem, all the things that the foundation's up to, maintain their awareness of the important stuff that we're doing up the channel. And we also want to highlight all the amazing, incredible things that are going on around the country and the world with Irreverent Warriors. So want to kind of start off before we get into all of our good IW topics to run you through some of the things that have been happening both locally and down in your neck of the woods as well. So both here in Missouri and in Texas. So we have Senate Bill 3 that is currently tearing up everybody's attention down there in Texas way. And what this bill is doing is it's seeking to control the sale and access of hemp-derived products. Essentially what it's doing is going to be taking anything that's made from a hemp product, and it has to be distributed through teacup program that's down there in Texas. So that limits the accessibility. What they're going after is they're trying to go after these Delta 8, Delta 9 type drinks. Now, there's a little bit different spin on that same legislation happening in different areas, and I think the big difference here is that Texas, you guys do have access to hemp-based products like CBD and Delta 8, Delta 9 type products, but I don't believe marijuana is legal down that way through normal recreational use. Do you guys have medicinal marijuana in Texas, or how's that work down there for you guys, Ed?
We do not. Marijuana is not legal at all. You can get the Delta 8, Delta 9s, all that, local stores. That's what they're trying to block. They did pass a law a few years back to prescribe THC, but in a pill form, no greater than zero point 0.5 to veterans that have been diagnosed with PTSD. And that's about it. But you can't get a prescription for it, even though so if you can want to call it legalized.
So I'm somebody that uses CBD products. You know, I've got a weird autoimmune deficiency deal where my joints attack me every so often, and it's quite painful. And there's not a lot that really does much for that condition. So about the best thing that I've found is some of the really high-powered, full-spectrum CBD oils. Do you use those products at all yourself?
I do. Yeah, we actually, I have some stuff from Charlotte's Web. I have some stuff from other local suppliers around here that can get it. It works great. I have the same, joint inflammations. I have autoimmune disorder in my pulmonary system. So yeah, CBD definitely helps. The THC is definitely the way to go for me. But yeah, it's definitely a game changer compared to all the prescriptions, everything else the VA wanted to give me.
Sure. So, the foundation, we had Janae Sergio down there in Austin this past week testifying against that bill. And that effort, we were trying to lend our support of the foundation over to the VFW that's really running the spearhead. And there are, we have our support. We've got a relationship built with the VFW, really to engage on, these kinds of issues. The big
Yeah.
six VSOs are now, completely tracking and aware of just how critical, these types of modalities have become to the veteran community. And so they're really running point down there. Mitch Fuller, who is the National Legislative Director for the VFW, also happens to be on the Grunt Foundation Board of Directors. He's also a longtime Reverent Warriors member down there in your all's hike, I believe, in your neck of the woods. But he and Janae were out there in Austin burning the midnight oil. They had to wait until I think it was 2 a.m. before they finally got their opportunity to be heard. But that was the level of commitment. And so, that battle continues. So, hey, if you're down in Texas way and you care at all about that, about these hemp-derived products such as CBD, and access to them, and you want to maintain that access, it would behoove you to get on the line with your state elected representatives. So if you're not sure who that is, do a quick Google search. I live in this town. Who represents me at the state level? Then call their offices and let them know that you want them to oppose that bill, or maybe you're on the other side of it and you want to support that bill. That's what the main thing here is, to exercise your civic responsibility as a good American. So up here in Missouri way, we also had a very similar situation with Senate Bill 54, and this also would have banned THC hemp products outside of dispensaries, and this was defeated 2 nights ago. So this is a big win for veterans and patients and all of the smaller hemp farm industries that are going around here in Missouri. What they were really trying to do, this was a monopoly play, trying to force everything to only be sold through those dispensaries. And of course, they control who it is that's having access to their shelves to be able to push their products. So it's all being cloaked, much like in Texas, with cries of, we have to protect the children from these awful, dangerous products, which is, literally absurd. And in many ways, to me, it just seems like, blatant little crony stuff going on there in the monopoly side. But that did get defeated by way of filibuster. So we will not be seeing that again. Hopefully, I think there's a small window left that they might be able to resurrect that guy towards the last remaining 10 days in the calendar. I think there's 5 weeks left in the Missouri schedule. But at any rate, it's very interesting that we are here and there and everywhere. But that is what's going on in that part of the world. I want to start to change the topic now over to IW. So, IW hikes, the Silky hikes, are the cornerstone of our program and of our mission overall to combat veteran suicide through camaraderie, humor, and connection. Now, this podcast is specifically, for IW members. It's what we do this show on Friday for, but we're also aware that we've got folks from outside of IW that may be seeing this on our social media channels. So, Ed, I want to kind of set you up a little bit to make a pitch for IW for what it is and how people can get engaged in their area.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, the point of IW is we create those meaningful engagements. Our mission statement is we bring veterans together through humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide. One of the ways we do that is through the Silkies hike, which, for people who don't know, who aren't part of IW, who aren't veterans, who are watching this, it is wearing those little silky shorts that we, PT shorts we wore on active duty. And that's kind of where we break our comfort zone. We go out in town and we do a little walk through cities, through parks, businesses, whoever will have us. Roll some footage right now from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was our first hike of the year. We had a little over 300 in attendance there. And it's a great Oconus location, easy to get to. Yeah, one day I'll make it there myself. So, yeah, shortly after that, we had our Washington, D.C. We'll connect up with that local coordinator here in a little bit. We just had our Dallas-Fort Worth hike. So Dallas-Fort Worth, had our hike actually was in Arlington, so right in between the two. It was a pretty memorable day. It was raining sideways, so we had a nice cold front that came through. But just kind of brought that suffering, brought everybody closer together. We did have a special guest that came with us named Don Graves. He is a Marine flamethrower. He was on Iwo Jima, and if anybody knows anything about flamethrowers anywhere during World War II, especially Iwo Jima, his lifespan was about 4 minutes. So the fact that he's made it to being 100, my hat's off to him. He came out saying "America the Beautiful" for us. He's a really, really great guy. Couldn't say anything better about him. But coming up this weekend, we have our Jacksonville, North Carolina hike. That's one of our OGs. It's their 10-year anniversary, as it's our 10-year anniversary as an organization. Looking forward to that. A lot of people showing up. Then across the country, we have our San Jose team is putting on their deal. Really looking forward to them. They usually host a little bit smaller event, but it's a lot more engaging. It's a lot more intimate, and a lot of hard work put in by both teams to make this happen.
So I understand that gentleman you're just talking about that's down at that Arlington height. Correct me if I'm wrong, he was 100 years old, so he would, so he was definitely the oldest guy they had. I saw we put up a video on our social media. What was his first name again?
Don Graves.
Yeah, I saw a video of Don leading the choir there on God Bless America. That was quite inspirational, and I think the caption said he was the oldest guy at 100, and the youngest was. Do you know that off the top of your head?
I didn't get it. Unfortunately, at all these events, I'm running around with the radio in my ear, and I don't get a lot of time to kind of get to interact. So one day when I grow up, I'll actually be able to go and have fun and be able to talk to people.
Right. Well, the reason I wanted to focus on that a little bit is because it does tie back into the advocacy stuff. I mean, the reason the VFW is here partnered with us, or whatever the right term is, I don't want to speak out of school, and I know there's like legal things that go along with what type of terms you use, but our buddies over at the VFW are very interested in working with the foundation because of IW. This is primarily the global war on terror era. A veteran happens to be our space, and for whatever reason, our community, our era, has really had reluctant time joining these larger VSOs, the traditional historical VSOs. So being able to connect those dots, an old flamethrower from Iwo Jima, how cool is that? My God, what did that guy see? But that's a badass dude, man. He's done some stuff. But, being able to connect those generations together through these partnerships is really where we need to do. I think it's imperative that people really understand just how important these VSOs are. There is no advocate really for the veteran at the federal level. We don't have lobbying interest groups. Anytime a lobbyist is involved, we're sucked into the conversation, usually as a prop. For the veterans this and for the veterans that. So it's really up to the VSOs. They've kind of been handed the mantle of responsibility to champion, the issues that impact our community. And so they're chartered by Congress, which means that they have, 1 million members, I think is what the trigger is in order to maintain that charter. And one of the benefits they get for having that privilege is to be able to directly engage Congress. We just about a month and a half ago or so ago, a group of us from the foundation were out there in D.C. for the national conference for the VFW, and that was an amazing experience, man. I mean, I've been doing advocacy work for well over a decade, and it's hard walking those halls and trying to get people to pay attention to you. And we do enjoy an awful lot of higher level of engagement, I guess, from the staffers and the crew when you're out there talking to the politicians because of that veteran status. But, you throw in that VFW hat into the mix and it becomes a much different game. And that also seemed to be true when they were addressing the combined session between the HVAC and the SVAC. So those are both the committees in the House and the Senate side that are responsible for oversight of the VA. And, the VFW got half a day's worth of testimony on that to really lay out what the national priorities are in our community. That's a big deal. If these VSOs should happen to ever go away, if they were to lose that charter or just fold up shop someday, it's a bad situation. We need that engine. So, I recently joined the VFW as a result of this partnership. I'm one of those veterans why do we want to go to a canteen for it and sit around and smoke cigarettes and drink beer with a bunch of geriatric old flamethrowers from Iwo Jima? Actually, if there was more of those guys, I'd have joined a long time ago just because I remember growing up with the old World War II dudes as my, when I was a kid. I loved hanging out with them. My dad's era, the old Vietnam guys, they were big chips on the shoulder coming home. And, man, those guys got dealt a shit sandwich from probably the WW guys, the World War II guys and the Korea guys that didn't really want to welcome them in. They had kind of a short end of the stick, and I think some of that carried over for our era coming in. I keep hearing all these stories about people that showed up and weren't well received. But I think times they are a-changing, and, there's an eagerness to get our era involved now. And where I think the real opportunity here is, too, as there's this passing of the baton between the generations, this is our opportunity to really get engaged in those organizations and make those organizations what we want. And what we want is healing. We want camaraderie and connection back to what was that so many of us miss from our time on active duty, and that's something that Irreverent Warriors does very well. So right now, man, we are influencing the hell out of the veteran ecosystem just by IW doing what IW does. And if that somehow bridges the gap of generations and pulls people into the larger ecosystem, and we're able to protect and secure, in the legislative fights and things that concern us, which we know is very important, is what we've seen, through things we've been involved with like the PACT Act, and now you see the CBD and hemp-derived product access battles that are going around the country. Having them on as an ally is important, and they recently just became a sponsor for IW for 2025. So we're certainly not out here singing praises of in explaining the necessity of why these organizations have to continue just because they're a partner for us. We partnered with them for those reasons. We are trying to move the needle in our community and protect and secure what it is that those who have gone before us have fought so hard to already secure. It's up to us to maintain that and to be the good steward of that and carry that forward for the next generation. And I think that shined beautifully from what I have seen from the DC hike. I was not out there. I wish Hugh was here in town today, but he's actually over in Kansas City preaching the good word of their Reverent Warriors program to the VFW folks over in their world headquarters at Kansas City today, so he's not here to join us. But he was telling me all about that hike. He went out there firsthand and saw all the amazing things, and I think this is a great opportunity to bring on the local coordinator for the DC hike, Miss Kimberly Pond, who is just killing it with that hike. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome to the show. And
Hey,
we're having a
Kimberly.
little bit of audio here, so I'm going to keep my mic muted while you two talk. So I'll jump in here and there as I can. But
Hey, Kimberly, how
Hello,
are you?
thank you for having me. Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. So tell us a little bit about DC. Like what is the main thing that brought everybody to DC? You did something a little more unique. Uh, you did our only night hike that we have in the whole country. What is the thought process behind that? Like what motivated that, and where do you find the benefit in that?
I think the night hike itself kind of brings a little bit of a different element to our hikes. It gives it a little bit of a change of scenery. But specifically in DC, the night hike gives you a different view and a different perspective of all of our national monuments and war memorials. You see them during the day, they're beautiful during the day. They have a different feeling, a different look at night, which is really great. Walking through, the Vietnam Memorial at night is very surreal. Walking through the Korean War Memorial with all of the statues of our soldiers from the Korea War. It gives it just a little bit more of a feeling. This is a little bit more of a lighthearted hike, as you can tell. We put on ourselves in glow in the dark lights, glow sticks, everything else. And then this year we coincided it with the Cherry Blossom Festival so that people that have never been to DC before got to also enjoy peak cherry blossom bloom.
Nice. Talk to us a little bit about the logistics behind planning, this, yeah, especially the at night. What were some of the hurdles you had to go through? What are some of the things that you learned?
So in planning an event this size, whether it be day or night, for DC, we have the unique opportunity to work through 3 different organizations for permitting. So we have to go through the National Park Service, Metropolitan Police, as well as Capitol Police in order to get permits for this hike. And it is one where if one organization says no, they all say no. So it's really important for us to have a really good connection and relationship with them in order to get all of these permits. The other thing that we face too, especially during Cherry Blossom Festival, is traffic, and just being able to get all of the information out to everybody, the different modes that they can get into DC, because during Cherry Blossom Festival, traffic was absolutely crazy.
I bet now, we're talking about the logistics, everything you have to go through. What was the size? I can see in some of the content we have, there's a lot of people. Do you know the exact head count or
So
roundabout head count?
we were able to check in 248 people. We did have some people that got stuck in traffic that were able to join us at the next two stops. I would say the actual numbers, we were looking at probably 270, closer to that number.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure. As you probably learned, it's like herding cats. So
Yes,
All right.
I,
Hey,
I have a
Kim.
great team.
Kim, you do have a great team, and I want to, hats off to you. Just looking at the video and everything you've put together is incredibly impressive. I've been running events of different kinds for a very long time. I know how hard that is. Layering that on with all of the weird red tape that has to go along with DC, that is no small task. So, what skills did you bring into this role as a local coordinator that allows you to be able to juggle something of this size and this complexity? It's not a simple task. What's the secret?
So I actually have experience with my civilian job in event planning and coordinating. I not of this size, but I do have to plan multiple events for my region because I oversee a region as an operations manager. And so just being able to already have some connections within the community, having the experience of planning and having to get everything together. And then I also come from another nonprofit that I worked with for quite a while and actually helped build that one from the ground up. That they had originally started here in Northern Virginia, and then they've become nationwide now. But just having that experience and being able to have foresight into what you might be facing, I think are important skills that I brought.
That's it's a lot. So, what was your background in the military? Did you do what was your role? Just I guess tell us your story overall. Like, what is your background? How did you come to IW, and how do these skills that you had play into your role of what you're doing, and what maybe has been the challenges of things that you've had to learn in order to do the job that you're doing so well?
So in the military, I'm a 17-year Air Force veteran. I was through the Alaska Air National Guard. I was lucky enough to be able to be active through the majority of my career. I held two different AFSCs. One, I was in logistics. So with logistics, having to be able to get, parts from point A to point B and face all the hurdles and everything in between. And then I got to finish out the last half of my career as an HH-60 crew chief for the Pavehawks. I worked with the 210th Rescue Squadron with the Combat Rescue team and all of our PJs. And with that, I mean, you have to be on point, especially when you have a 24/7, 365-day mission at home as well as being deployed. So we had to be on point, had to follow everything to a T, and just be able to face whatever we faced without, you know, stressing out, had to keep calm and everything else, especially when we had to deal with, unfortunate rescues back home where you had the family members meeting the aircraft back on the tarmac. It, you just have to have the cool, calm, and collected demeanor.
So, you guys just did a night hike, and I understand there's another DC hike that's coming up soon. That's not a night hike, but during the day. Could you tell us the dates on that?
So our day hike is going to be October 25th. We're super, super excited because we are theming this as a Halloween hike. But it is not going to be a Halloween hike. It will be the Halloween hike that everybody wants to go to. We're planning this to be more of a 3-day event where, people are coming in Friday. We're doing the hike Saturday and then have events going on Sunday as well. My vision for it is that, we're in DC, we're nation's capital. There's a lot of military history here. There's a lot of dark military history here, and it's spooky season. So we're going to try to combine the two and our goal is to have a different type of meet and greet. Our hike will be our hike, and then the events afterwards and stuff will be different than the typical meeting at a restaurant, and stuff like that.
So, what was the impetus there for having the night hike? Like, nothing is more powerful to me than walking the mall at night, and was kind of that the drive behind why to do that.
For the night hike, it is important.
To improve mental health, and prevent veteran suicide.
Okay, that was pretty cool.
Great clip.
Yeah, that had to be. How many people did y'all have? Say you had there just over 300.
Just under 300.
Oh, okay. And so everybody was marching through all of that. Yeah, that'd be a good time. That's a destination hike. Next time y'all do that at night, we're there. So that's just happening. Also, this was a pretty important hike for us from the foundation's perspective, because we had a lot of eyeballs that we've been talking up IW and how it works and why it works, and kind of all the whys behind the madness, and we've got enough momentum built that I think there's people that are wanting to come in and see it firsthand. So I know there was a lot of different groups that were there checking out what it is that you were doing, and I have to tell you, there, Kim, congratulations, because we got an awful lot of good feedback on what it was that you guys put together. Now, this one that's going to be coming up towards Halloween, is that a costume event? Is that you're wanting people to show up in like outfits, or what's the plan?
Absolutely. I fully encourage people to come and dress up. I'm not going to do a specific theme for it other than Halloween, and dress up and, just have fun with it, because I think that's what's going to draw the attention to our cause as we come through the community. Just like our night hike, as we're going through the community looking like a rolling rave party, we have all of the bystanders that are asking us, hey, what are you about? And it calls attention to us in a positive light. And just being able to share the message, it's great.
What do you do in DC on the regular? Like, what would take you from Alaska to DC? And most everybody's some kind of federal employee or something. It seems that lives anywhere within 100 miles of DC. Are you involved in that? Or the folks that are involved in IW, they're local, or are all you guys part of the big machine?
So for me, coming from Alaska to DC, my my daughter's dad was stationed at the Pentagon, and that's what brought me down here. And then I've stayed.
For Ed, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't we have Nashville is also another big destination hike around Halloween time, or is that still the thing this year?
Nashville is not scheduled for this year. Nashville normally happens around early October, September timeframe, right around Memphis as well.
Okay, maybe it was Memphis. I knew one of the two down there in Tennessee is I always see that imagery of the spooky season stuff for the hike. So this may set up a head-to-head battle inside IW chapters, fighting for people to pick their destination event for the night that the veil between the worlds is thinnest during the year there. I would not want to go into a battle of the esoteric realm with some place like DC, which I'm pretty sure is centered over a pit to hell. But that's just my take on it. I may be a Memphis guy if we have to pick between the costumes this year. But I will definitely be there with some bells on the next time you guys do that night hike. That's pretty incredible stuff. What goes into the DC event logistically that is unique and apart beyond just the permits of being able to hike through such historic places? My understanding from the guys last week telling me about it was that you guys had time that they made just for us to be alone in some of these really impactful memorials. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, with the scheduling of how we do the hike and everything else, it is when there's not a lot of people that are out. There's still some people being out, but when just the community itself, when they see us coming and we get ready to move through the memorials, a lot of people will actually step aside and let us through and show us the respect. I will say my favorite thing is as we approach the Vietnam Memorial this year, there was a couple of groups that were there. They actually came off the memorial, let us walk through, and there's nothing more powerful than walking through, especially the Vietnam Memorial, close to 300 people, and it's at a dead silent. All you hear is us walking. You don't hear talking, you don't hear music, you hear nothing. And, there are people that step aside and watch just how impactful that is.
That's a pretty awesome
So
thing. We see it all around.
is that unusual, Ed, as somebody who's been involved in the national level coordination for however long? I mean, is there a different lift that goes along with DC than another large city that's also heavily attended?
I'd have to say it's more of a federal lift, as the local municipalities within DC, or you have more federal agencies that you're dealing with at the local levels. We're dealing with our cities and counties every now and then, dealing with the states.
What are the what's the permit process and stuff like they go for in a typical event? Is that something that takes weeks, days, months of engagement trying to get these things set out? Because I imagine a federal venue like DC has just got to be next level crazy.
Yeah, I can't speak on the federal
Believe it or
level, but
not, the
yeah, I can't
I
speak on the
was
federal level. Kim can answer that question. But as far as state wise and city wise, I mean, it varies everywhere you go. Some places don't require anything. Some just want you to give them a heads up. Some want, just mountains of red tape to cut through before you even say hi.
Well, I keep pounding on that just because like I said, again, I've done a lot of event production over the years, and I've done some things in DC, and man, that is next level hard. So I definitely want to make sure that you get your due on people giving you applause for commending you for a job well done, because that's significant. Are you going to be out at the conference in St. Louis, Kim, coming up here in a couple of weeks?
I definitely will be.
On. Ed, this is a good transition point to tell us a little bit about what's coming up at the IW conference for those that are interested to learn about that. Walk us through it.
Yeah, so far on our agenda, we have a lot of our in-house type stuff, leadership development. We are doing some small type integration things that we're going to be working into the afternoon, having some breakout sessions, uh, getting into different holistic modalities. We're doing some cold plunging out there in was it Lincoln Lake? So definitely looking forward to it. It's definitely something different than what we've ever done. Last few years, we've had a hotel setting where it's just 8-9 hours a day of death by PowerPoint. This is going to be much more engaging. No PowerPoint whatsoever. Maybe some paper handouts, but definitely a whole different level of intimacy than we've ever had. Um, just real team building type stuff.
Yeah, but I know we're bringing in a lot of our friends that we had out the integration event in September, which coincidentally there will be another integration event in September this year as well. And the idea behind that is, we do a good job on preventing suicide through humor and camaraderie. Going out there on these hikes. One of the things I think we need to target is, and it's a priority of IW, is trying to provide tools for healing and getting our LCs really comfortable in that role of that they find themselves in. Sometimes we want them to have the best amount of tools available to be that first line of engagement towards not only just preventing the suicide, but growing beyond it and healing and actually getting down to that work. That is going to be why we're doing some of the things that we're doing at the conference here in a couple of weeks. We're trying to get the Lakota guys out to come out for another sweat lodge for conference. Turns out what we're doing, the Lakota will be there. Our good buddy Jalen Garnett, shout out to Jay. will be at conference, although this year they will be doing the um, sacred pipe ceremony is what's going to be going down this round. We've also got another practitioner that's coming in that's going to be leading a Blue Lotus tea ceremony that will be going on. So that's a couple of what we're doing is trying to promote the idea of what the integration event really is and expose some of the LC folks to those things should they want to engage that and see what all that's about. But there's an awful lot of other things that are going to be going on. And I've been to 2 conferences before this. We like to joke and say death by PowerPoint when we're talking about these types of training events, but it's always a good time. This one is definitely different. This thing is going to be more like summer camp at Camp Wankachumba or whatever you may have attended when you were a kid. So, Cam, I guess I got a question for you on it. You know, everything we just ran through, kind of what the philosophy is behind it. As an LC, do you find that to be at all interesting, helpful, potentially helpful with the things that you have to deal with in your leadership role, you know, in such a big location as DC? How's it hitting you in terms of where we're trying to steer the ship?
I'm super excited in the way that we're trying to steer the ship because I think that one, it's the getting the exposure so that when there's other people, you know, that are going through a hard time, you can, you know, talk to them about some of the different modalities that they have available to them. And, you know, I'm one that likes to be able to experience the different things that we're trying to promote or be aware of. And just kind of be able to give experience-based information to someone. But I do think that it is important to have the different modalities available and knowledge of them so that our veterans know that there's different resources, different techniques out there to them other than just what, you know, the VA likes to provide us. I preferably I would like to not take a ton of medication, you know, and find something that's more natural and more helpful to me. And I've talked to multiple veterans that, you know, feel the same way. So I think it's important. So I'm excited.
Yeah, have you found yourself in a position where you've had to kind of carry a brother or sister through a dark patch just by default of being in that role as the LC for your group?
Yes. I have found myself in that situation. And, you know, I think that it's super important to be there as a leader because I do think that when people come to our cities, they look at us as LCs, not just that we're, you know, creating an event for them, but that we are leaders and we can help guide them through and be there to listen and to lean on and assist how we can.
So many alternative healing modalities that are out there that are as simple as just being in nature and exercising and changing diet. And I think Hugh and Ed were telling me that they're doing this cold plunge thing. Not real sure I'm sold on the cold plunge thing right now, man. I'm the guy that takes an awful long time to get all the way under the water. That getting towards that belt line area in the cold water is a little, I don't know.
Well, that's part of the problem, man. It's called a plunge, not a sit down, ease your way in.
Oh, so it's just jump in and do it. I mean, I'm
Just
kind
do
of
it.
afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid what it's gonna do, man. It's like if it hurts that bad going slow, will my head explode when I actually go under the water with that? I know Sully or Matt Scally rather is he's really promoting the hell out of this stuff down there in Texas as well. Do you cold plunge? Do you do that
Uh,
stuff
Every day. I can't function without it.
every day?
Every day.
God damn, dude. Yeah, man. So what's it doing to your shrinkage, man? I mean, that's got to be rough, dude.
So actually, what works out is I do my cold plunge. Then directly from my cold plunge, I get my H-bot and I warm back up as that temperature rises inside there.
Hey,
So I
man,
get I get a twofer.
how's the HBOT working out for you? I know that you've
Oh,
been doing that for what, about a month now or so?
since August.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been amazing, man.
Wow. What does it do? So have you been doing the HBOT and the cold plunge at the same time the whole time you've been working with HBOT?
As much as I can. Sometimes I only have time to just do the H-bot. And some days, I only have time to do a cold plunge and get out and carry on with my day. But yeah,
Huh.
for most part, I can do a cold plunge and go right into the H spot.
For
And
those listening that may not know about what HBOT, what we're talking about, do you mind explaining what it is you're doing, and you've got one in your home, and kind of what you're using it for, and all that, so they paints that picture?
yeah, so HBOT is the hyperbaric oxygen therapy unit, and it's an in-home device. It's basically a big vinyl bag. It pressures up to what would make you equal to being about 10 feet underwater, but you're on 100% oxygen. Oxygen is being pumped in by a condenser, either by a cannulus or a mask, whichever one works for you. And I stay in there for about a minimum of 90 minutes, and I'll go 90 minutes to about 3 hours, and do that about every day. I was having a lot of pulmonary issues, a lot of chronic pain. It's kind of in this depressive state. And what ended up happening after about a week is I noticed, my synapses was just going much more faster. I was much more clear thinking. I was able to actually work more productively, get better sleep. I mean, you name it, whatever it was improving, and the bad stuff that was happening went way down.
How did that? What did that do with your lungs? I know you were having some issues in the lungs. Did that help clear that up? Are you still struggling, or?
It's helped definitely. My pulmonary function tests I do are chronically showing improvement. So what I have going on, I'm gonna be stuck with for the rest of my life, but it's not getting worse.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I also use HBOT, religiously, just because I have so much toxicity issues that level me.
Yeah,
So that's why we need to get more activities inside of IW, man. Like, unless you guys get me a golf cart, like, I'm not making a 10 miler, man. That's just not happening. But
yeah,
I try
yeah.
my best. So I'm trying to get super engaged here in St. Louis. Uh, Time's always my factor, but man, I'm all down for wearing some silkies and going out and getting a little weird in the streets. I think that's pretty cool. But
I
if it
know a
weren't
guy who
for
can help
HBOT,
you with that.
you can help me which part? Getting weird?
Yeah, getting weird, man. Putting on silkies and getting weird.
Oh, okay. I'm game, man. Come on, we'll get a hobby horse or something, if nothing else, and mount it to a golf cart, and I'll just pretend I'm in the cab still or something like that. That'd work for me. So no, that's good stuff. I'm glad to hear that's working out for you. Do you notice any benefit by stacking those with the cold plunge to the HBOT?
I want to say yes, I do. The best thing I noticed from doing the cold plunge is letting my body warm up naturally, and if I do that while I'm under pressure with condensed oxygen, I notice that that recovery time is a little bit faster. So the joint pain, all that, just the benefits of the cold plunge is much longer lasting when I stack it with an H bot.
And how? So, what do you need to do a cold plunge? I mean, I keep seeing these things come across my social media feeds. They're like special bags that cost insane amounts of money. I've seen special tubs. I'm seeing places start to advertise it around town, where you can go into like businesses that do that. What do you use? And if someone wanted to if I was interested in doing cold plunge tomorrow, which I'm not, but I think I'm going to be converted. I'll let you know after the
Yeah.
IW conference whether or not how I moved on that. But if I wanted to, how would I? What would you tell me to do?
So it really depends on what options you have around. If you have a friend that has one, definitely hit them up. Be like, hey, I want to give this a shot, and just do it. Um, yeah, I mean, if you have a big enough bathtub, fill it up. Get your water temperature down to at least 60 degrees. 60 degrees is your optimal starting point. I will tell people who have a lot of plates and rods and pins and all kinds of stuff in their body, maybe start at 70, 75. Listen to your body. There's all kinds of studies saying, no, the lower the temperature, the more benefits. That's not true. It all depends on you. I can dial mine down to 35 degrees and I don't feel any different at 35 or 46. I mean, I listen to what my body's saying. But for people doing it the first time, I went all out and I bought the top of the line that has the chiller, the filter, the pump, the whole 9 yards. I got a good chunk of VA back pay, and that's what I dropped it on. And it was about a $3,000 unit. There are other stuff out there where you can buy a trough at Tractor Supply or whatever, and for about $100, and you can go buy $50 of ice and go that way, man. But yeah, any way you can do it, and you want to, you don't try it. It's not one of those things you just try. You don't try to jump out of a plane. You don't try to skydive. You skydive.
What's the
It's the same thing with a cold plunge.
what's the idea on what it's doing to your body? Like, why are people obsessed with this? And people are genuinely, legitimately obsessed with this.
Yeah, so it's been proven that your dopamine production increases by 250%. Yeah, so when your dopamine's increased, I mean, it just gives you that all around better feeling. Um, I can use it in different ways, and some people are different. Some people use it to wake up. Some people use it to go to sleep. It all depends on what your mindset is going. That's what I found. So I can do it first thing in the morning. I can be set to go all day. I can do it in the evening, and I can go right to bed. Like I said, it's all those studies of just listening to your body. What I have found is just that instant hit, that cold water, that surge that hits you, that shock to your body. When it sets off all that dopamine, it actually brings down all your inflammation as well. So while you'll think being out in the cold, out in cold weather, you can't move. Once you get into cold therapy, you actually move much easier.
What,
And
man? You just all my problems are in inflammation. So
yeah,
you've piqued my curiosity right there. I am always looking for tools to help with that. So this is happening at the IW conference. Is this going to be in a trough with the ice, or is this going to be using just the lake
we're,
water, which is probably
we're
still
getting, we're
cold?
getting, yeah, we're getting in the lake, and best we can find is that water is somewhere around 60 degrees. I think it's a good starting point for everybody, and it's
Okay,
going to
so I
push
can.
people outside of their comfort zones. Me and
Yeah, I'd
Matt
be down
Scally
for
will be
that.
swimming and splashing each other. We don't care. We're good.
Okay, well in that case, I'm down. You've converted me. If it's 60 degrees, and I don't even, I have no concept of how cold 60 degrees feels on your skin compared to 47 degrees or 34. I just assume it's more tolerable. But I'm sold. We'll see. I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll join that road. I see here Robert is saying his tub cost him $120 on clearance at Sam's. So I'm assuming
Yep.
that's probably like a. Professional, what do you call that? An item that's specifically made just for that purpose. It's not converting a horse trough or something like that. That
Yeah, some of the ones you buy actually have a seat that's in it. So
yeah, that's very affordable. $120, you bet. Now I'm big on infrared sauna. Love infrared sauna, niacin, liposomal glutathione, all those kinds of things. Because I'm full of toxins, so I'm always trying to pull toxins out. Is there any benefit to that with this stuff? I mean, it sounds like it's good on the inflammation, so I'm pretty much sold on that, just that alone. But can you give me some
yeah,
advice on that?
absolutely. As I tell everybody, you can do all these different therapies you want. Everything really comes down to is what you're putting in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
If you focus on an anti-inflammatory diet, similar to keto, carnivore, even depends on what meats you're eating. A lot of red meats actually will increase your inflammation. But having an anti-inflammatory diet, then added with supplements, added with other therapies. I also do an infrared sauna as well. I don't do as much as I should. We have a little chair that you stick with your head out. But mixed with all those things is it's all meant for body detox and for regeneration. You're regrowing healthy tissues. You're I forgot what they call it in your brain, the fibers. Gets all them activated again. That it's just not clogged down by toxins.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's kind of how we first met, man. That's been some years ago now, down in Galveston.
Yeah.
I think we were at the
Yeah.
Galveston hike, and I think we were in some little bar somewhere, sitting around, and you were kind of telling me about what some of the stuff going on, and I was rattling off the detox protocols that I knew of, and you seem like you're in a different spot today than what you were back then. Would you say it's been beneficial for your health?
180. Yeah, from
180.
when you first met me, from the time you first met me, I've dropped a little over 30 pounds. And I've just started moving again, and all that's due to the therapies, everything that I've been doing. And not saying I'm not listening to my doctors, but I'm taking what they're saying as with a grain of salt, and then doing my own research. Finding more of the holistic treatments.
Well, that's something, man. That's progress. Good, and yeah, it shows, man. You're killing it. And Kim, as we're trying to begin our efforts of getting these words out of these alternative healing modalities like cold plunges and infrared saunas and detoxifications and all the things, do you see people responding to that within the community that you have there in DC? Or people talking about alternative healing modalities, or a desire to engage in them, or to reject the status quo of these SSRIs and things that we're given by way of the VA? Is that in the culture yet?
I do quite a bit see it in the culture here, and just in multiple people that I've spoken to that are already doing some of these other therapies with the cold plunge. I haven't talked to anybody that's done the HBOT. We do have some people that do utilize like equine therapy, the CBD, THC, just the different therapies, just to try to get away from what the standard therapy that's prescribed to us from doctors and the VA, because at the end of the day, we want to do what works best for us, what makes us feel better, not bad, feel better, and without having to put a bunch of toxins and poisons in our system.
I think that's super important, and I really, I would love to connect with you, offline, Kim, about some things that we've got cooking in this advocacy realm of this rejection for the status quo. We have our War Cry for Change initiative inside the foundation too, where we're trying to get people up to speed on the dangers of these overprescriptions and the polypharmaceuticals that we're getting outside the VA from. Everything from these SSRIs, antidepressants, benzodiazepines. These things come along with an increased risk of increased suicidal ideation. And, I think that's awful that our status quo in healthcare is to take people that are already vulnerable, for one, and two, they're potentially struggling with things like suicidal ideation. And then we're giving them medications to increase their level of suicidal ideation. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And there's an awful lot of different ways to come at these things. And we're certainly not, trying to shame anybody that may be on those meds, and some people find some efficacy for them. Where our beef with it is in how they're prescribed. There's no informed consent. People are being given, these pills after spending, a very short amount of time with their doctor, and they're coming out with a prescription for some things that could have some, fairly significant, serious consequences. And we just want to make sure that everybody fully understands what it is that they're getting into before they get into it. Because I can't tell you, man, just in this job, the number of veterans that I run into on the regular that are on some of these benzos, and some of these prescriptions are only designed to be crisis intervention type things, which is where their efficacy does shine. But you're not meant to be on them for 6 years. I've ran into multiple people that are on some of these things that are, designed to be used in that way that have been on them for over a decade. So that's a problem, and we need to do something about that. And that's where our War Cry for Change initiative comes in. We're trying to sound that alarm, and what we're asking for is the informed consent between the doctor and the patient. And we want people to understand, what are the side effects? What is the how does this pill play with these other pills that you may already be on, and what are the things you need to be worried about and conscious of? So anyhow, we're going to be doing a symposium, I guess that's what we're going to call it for now, in D.C. here sometime in the summer. We're targeting that. We've got some weird things going that we're trying to build onto that. I'm trying to, want to sound an open invitation to anybody that's remotely close to D.C. or wants to come out that's passionate about that topic and join us for that conference there in D.C. It's going to be in the Capitol. We've got one of the theaters there in the Visitor Center, if you're familiar, with that. They have some large theaters down below the Capitol building that we're going to be using, and then we're going to go out and do a press conference. And so, as many veterans as we can get there to be there, that makes a big impact for those that are watching these activities happen there inside the government. And then we got some other weird stuff we're cooking up. I'm not sure how it's going to land, but the sketch idea right now, and tell me how this hits you. We're going to get a big giant skull made, like a big one, get a big sculpture, and it's going to be hollow. And then we want everybody to bring their pill bottles for those that understand this issue, that have had a problem with these things. And we're going to make a hell of a scene, and we're going to march from that press conference down there to the art installation area of the mall, which is below the Capitol, where we put those kinds of things. That's what that space is designated for, is for temporary installations. So we're going to try to get that kind of a permit, and you might have some insight on how to do those since you're a permit master there of DC. So we'll be calling you to just march down and throw those pills into that skull symbolically and say no more. And the veterans, time for us to stand up and take control of our own destiny there. So if you're game to help out with some coordination on that, I won't want to put you on the spot right now in the moment, but I'm going to be calling you because yeah, you're doing it right. Well, folks, we are coming up towards the top of the hour, and I think we're going to wrap the show there. Before we do that, I want to give you an opportunity, Kim, here for some last words and anything that you want people to know about how to get engaged in Irreverent Warriors DC area. What's coming up in your way, and where do they go to find you?
So to find us, they can always go to irreverentwarriors.com and do a city search to be able to find the cities and the events that are coming up close to them. For specifically DC, they can also hit the IWDC Facebook page. If you haven't joined, go ahead and join. And we keep posting all the different events and stuff that we have coming up. Right now, we do have a monthly brunch series. With our next brunch being April 27th at Honor Brewing for those that are local that want to join that. And we'll be pushing that out too. And just kind of keep an eye out for the different events. We have a lot of events that we have in the works right now that we haven't published yet, but are going to be coming up rapid fire up into our our day hike. I'm sorry. I'm still in night hike mode. Up until our day hike.
Yeah, that is good information. Thank you very much for sharing that. And again, Kim, I just want to tell you, I'm super impressed with you. Everything that you have been able to pull together, from what I've seen, you've inspired me. I will certainly be there the next time you guys give that a whirl. We've got a little tradition here with the foundation that we do in the nighttime hours out there on the mall. So I think that'd be fun to do in the context of a hike. So I think we'll try to get that done. But thanks very much for joining us today, Kim, and telling us about all the good work that you're doing. Ed, before I turn that over to you for your last word, I do see that there's some discussion going on in the comments talking about the cost of HBOTs and where you can get HBOTs. And Anna had posted a link down there for Newtown Hyperbarics. That's the partner that we work with. We do have special pricing on those. If you are a veteran or just anybody really that's interested in HBOT, if you give us a ring here at the foundation, you're interested in obtaining a home unit like what Ed uses and what I use, I'll be happy to help you make that happen. We have a special pricing deal with Newtown Hyperbarics as our partner, and we're able to get a whole unit for a little, just under shy maybe of $7,000 is about what our cost is on that. So if that's something that you would like us to help facilitate for you, give us a ring. Go over to gruntstylefoundation.org and shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to make introductions over with the people that can set you up with a chamber. So that said, Ed, last words, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on a question, or not a question, but a statement from our Douglas County, Washington State VSO. Looking to attend a Silky's hike soon. The closest one to you is in Spokane, Washington. They're going to be June 21st. You can find them a couple different ways. You can just search IW Spokane on Facebook. You can email info@irreverentwarriors.com, and we'll get you connected with that local city and get you your tickets and everything. On the other events coming up, we do have our Indiana integration coming up, and that is in May. Grunt Style Foundation is also teaming up with that, so our local coordinator up there out of Vincennes is putting that on. Really look forward to that. She's put in a lot of hard work for it, and we have her hike coming up later on in the year. But other than that, I really appreciate you having me on.
All right. Well, we're gonna do more of these things. I miss you, man. I am terribly missing you today. I love doing these kinds of things. It's a lot harder when I'm like looking at nothing and there's nobody there in the room with me to interact, and I can't really do all the things, this weird audio stuff. We're still getting this all together. This is still a new studio for us, and we've got some issues we're working through. And David's doing a kick-ass job getting all this tied together and making this functional. But boy, I sure wish you was sitting over here with me to riff with. So we want this podcast to be fun. We want this podcast to be informational, and we're going to keep playing this thing out. So I'm looking forward to taking that adventure with you, Ed. And we will see everybody here a week from now, same time, noon, Central Time, I guess we are. And we'll do something else interesting, and we build this ramp up towards the IW conference. And Kim, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person there at the conference. We will see you then. I'll give you a ride around on the golf cart. We'll go talk some business and start taking some scalps on the way down to D.C. with what we've got planned coming up on these SSRIs. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. We will be back again. Until then, be nice to everybody and tell your friends. Like and share our social media and get that word out. We need to get our numbers up, and we've got a lot of work ahead, and IW is going to be that momentum that gets us pushed over the top. So until next time, take care, everybody.